Hello everyone. In the last lecture, we talked about Bloom's taxonomy in details. Today we'll talk about aims and objectives of teaching physical science. Starting with the objectives of teaching physical science. When we talk about education in India, we know that we can divide it into three broad categories. The primary level, the lower secondary level, and the secondary level, higher secondary. So when we say primary level, it includes class 1 to 5th. Now, when we are forming objectives at this level, what should be the things which are to be kept in mind? Very important that the child at this age is very curious, is very active learner. So we need to develop all these tendencies. So firstly, the first objective should be to train and develop the power of observation of the child. His keen observant power, his active nature, his curious nature should be trained properly. Then second is the physical and the social environment relationship should be developed. How it is developed? We know that the child stays in the environment, in the physical environment, and is a part of society. So the child should be trained to know the relationship between both the society as well as the nature and the interdependence of both. The third point is the development of character and behavior. The character and behavior we are talking about is related to science, the conservation of natural resources, respect of natural agencies, and respect towards the scientific contributions. Then comes the cleanliness, social and personal cleanliness. It is important that science should inculcate the habit of cleanliness in the child from the very beginning. Now, in the present scenario, when we are all suffering from COVID-19 conditions, we understand that how important it is to inculcate the habit of cleanliness. Washing the hands regularly, wearing a mask, or we can say using a handkerchief when coughing or sneezing, taking regular bath, taking precautions, washing clothes properly. How important all these things are. If the child is taught all these things from the very beginning, the child can save him or herself from the future disasters like COVID-19. Then next point is train the child in the utility of science. Science has made various contributions in our lives. Since the very beginning, all these small things in our lives of the daily utility things or the daily routine things are related to science. So it is important that the child should understand these contributions and respect these contributions and train him or herself in the utility of all things. Now, just keeping all these aspects away, important is to encourage the cause and effect relationship. Cause and effect, a child is very inquisitive in nature. When there is a cause, there is an effect. And that effect again leads to a question in the mind of the child. So it is very important that at the early stage, we satisfy this need of inquisitiveness, that we train the child to understand the importance of the things happening around him or herself. Then finally is the development of practical outlook. What practical outlook we are talking about? The practical outlook is whatever has been taught theoretically, that theoretical aspect is contributed practically. Whatever has been taught to the child, that child brings it into the practice. Now just have a look at this. So here you can see that at lower primary stage what we have talked is, first is the development training of power of observation, knowledge of relationship between social and physical environment, development of character and behavior, develop habits of cleanliness, training in utility of science, encourage to explore cause and effect, and then finally development of practical outlook. Here now, so you see, the primary level objectives are framed keeping in mind the mental level of the child. Now when we talk about the secondary stage, we know that we have divided into two parts, the lower secondary and the higher secondary. Lower secondary includes classes from 5th onwards. Now here, the child is grown up. So the science objectives are to be framed accordingly. So what should be the objectives at this stage? Let's have a look. See, First is the development of knowledge and skills for social life. Now, what do you mean by this? It means building a background for vocational and social life. We know that the child needs a vocation, needs an earning for himself, needs to survive in the society. So it is very important that we develop this knowledge and create some skills and develop some skills in that child so that he is able to survive in this world socially and earn his livelihood. Then second is the development of power of reasoning. How can we develop such things? Reasoning can be developed by giving the child opportunity. At this stage, the child is quite grown up. He can understand things. He can understand the relationship, the cause and effect things, what is happening. So we need to give him the opportunities at this level so that he can think, he can reason, he can analyze things and create an understanding for him or herself. Then is to develop the sense of practical use. Whatever has been applied through knowledge. Now, develop sense of practical use. That is, make the child capable to apply the knowledge. Whatever has been taught to him, that child is able to apply that knowledge and create things for him or herself. Use it practically in life. Then is developing sense of solving problems. How important it is to deal with the problems and find a solution to those problems by our own selves. Such tendencies, such sense has to be developed in the child at a very younger stage, and science plays an important role over here. Here, through science, we can help the child to develop his sense of problem solving. Help him so that he can apply the knowledge in the real life. Then is develop sense of application of theoretical knowledge. Again, the same things are repeated again and again, but all have a different meaning. We need to understand that knowledge is given at one level. Understanding is something different. Then the child applies that knowledge is also very important. Just understanding won't help him. He needs to apply that knowledge in his or her life. Finally, make efficient to earn livelihood. We need to make the child efficient to earn his or her livelihood. The basic thing is we need our bread and butter, and for that the science gives the opportunity to the child to learn and become skillful so that in the future he can earn bread for him and his family. The secondary stage. The high secondary stage means the class 8th onwards. While formulating the objectives at this stage, we need to keep three things in mind. First is the psychological aptitude and interest of the child in mind. Second is to equip the child for higher education. And third, to develop his economic efficiency. Now, based on these three things, we formulate the objectives at this level. Starting from the knowledge, understanding, application, skill, interest, aptitude, appreciation, and then finally the psychological traits. Now just have a look. The knowledge part. We need to give the knowledge of scientific terminology, the scientific facts, trends and sequences, the natural phenomena, the methodology which has been followed, the theories and structure in science, the general rules, interdependence of different branches of science. So while formulating these objectives at this level, we need to impart the knowledge regarding all these things. Then comes the understanding part. We know that the facts are forgotten easily, so we need to train to generalize facts and events having common characteristics. So what do we need to make them understand? We need to make them understand the concepts, principles and laws at this stage. Application. Apply generalizations into daily life. So what generalization had been understood, they need to be applied. Then as I said comes the skill. At this stage we need to develop observational, experimental, drawing, constructional, problem solving skills in the children. Then comes the interest. What type of interest? The scientific related interest, scientific hobbies, reading scientific literature, activities related to scientific clubs. Then is the attitude. Now when we say attitude, attitude is a condition of readiness, solving problems with observation, experimentation, verification and testing knowledge by providing democratic atmosphere. Then is the appreciation, develop feelings of appreciation for scientific progress for human welfare. Finally comes the personality traits, reporting observation and results faithfully, truthfully, with patience. So the personality traits like being truthful, respectful, hardworking, all these things are developed at this stage. Now we have seen how these objectives have been formulated at different levels. Either we can start from the lower to the higher or from the higher to the lower. Now when we talk about the aims, all these objectives which we have formed at different stages, if are combined together, we need to aim for higher things. And those higher things or those goals are called aims. So what aims are we talking about, or what are the aims of teaching physical science? Now just have a look. The aims of teaching physical science. First is the intellectual aim. All those objectives we have talked about leads in the development of the cognitive abilities which help us to attain the intellectual aims. Then is the aesthetic and recreational aims. Through science, we can help the child to realize the beauty in the world and use all those things which have been taught to him for his recreational purposes. Pre-preparational aim. The pre-preparational aim is preparation for the life. Cultural aim. So much of interdependence of subjects, of the society, of the nature, of the environment on each other, and science help us to explore all these relationships and help us to understand the culture in a better way. Interdisciplinary aim. Different branches of science are connected, and this connection needs to be told to the child. He needs to understand how these different science subjects are related to each other, how they're dependent on each other, and how they draw their benefits from each other. Then is the self-learning aim. Self-learning aim is in relation to the skills that the child learns by himself, by learning by doing, by following the generalizations and applying them in their life. Then is the vocational aim, as we have already discussed so many times, that it is important that we not only learn things but we also need to use them in our lives so that we can have a livelihood. Then is social and moral aims. Society is important for us. We live in a society and it is important that we live with norms. So how to live in a society, how to maintain that hygiene, how to maintain those norms, how to behave, and how to build those qualities in society with the including the moral values is important, and these things are inculcated through science. Finally is the utilitarian aim, that whatever has been taught, has been understood, is utilized in life. So you see how Bloom taxonomy helped us in building these objectives, and these small objectives when combined together help us to achieve the higher goals. These higher goals are known as the aims. So how these are interrelated and how it helps us in the development of the child. Thank you.